guys, so I am here with a cosplay update after it's been a really long time. I forget which cosplay I left off on, but I believe it was like Jace and Wukong. Cosplays I've done since then were of course the Jace and the Wukong, and then I did like a casual Harley Quinn and I did Kim Possible. I think that's it besides the most recent two, which is Gnar and Asami, but I'm gonna go over Gnar and Asami right now. So I'm just gonna include pictures of all of my finished cosplays real fast, which is Jace, Wukong, Gnar, Asami, Kim Possible, and Harley Quinn. I'll eventually have blog posts on how I made the stuff and like photos and everything up over time. I'm just working on getting some of those up right now still. Yeah. I'll go over Gnar real fast, and because I have a lot of cosplays to get through, I'm going to make this super fast. This is how I made the necklace. I think I went over this in my last cosplay update video, but it is a piece of craft foam, Velcro, together with leaves that I cut out and sewn and patterned and everything. For his headband, when I wore it, I didn't have super glue. Hot glue doesn't work on this, so it's kind of falling off now because it was pinned. I have super glue now, so I gotta super glue it. I just haven't got around to it, but this is how the inner workings look like. It is a headband, and because, you know, headbands, they stretch to fit. It doesn't always stay stretched or adds on too much like wear and tear to it. So instead, I just attached this middle section of the headband, and I also used pieces of fabric to lay over the top so that it will all get glued down, and it's not glued right now, so it's kind of coming off. And then for this part, I have bobby pins on the headband and little pieces of fabric that I glued right here and here, and then the middle's left open so bobby pins can go through, and then I can attach it to the wig that way and it doesn't wiggle too much. The skull was made using expanding foam and a cardboard base, which I then went in and carved everything with a steak knife, and then I put that in masking tape, paper mached it, put over gesso to get rid of some of the lines, and then spray painted, and then added in all these shadows and stuff. For the ears, I dyed the fur. I dyed all my fur. It was white fur, and I dyed it with acrylic paint mixed with water, mostly like you put like a lot of water and then a little bit of acrylic paint, and that's how you do it. I went by eye, so I can't tell you exact measurements. This is a cardboard base, and I forgot to shadow it though, so I'll probably have to get around to doing that. And then I did the same with the blue dye, and I went and did the light color first and then did the ends in like a dip dye kind of way. This is the top. I was originally going to do fur, but that's really expensive and I didn't have the money for that, so I made it out of the same material I made the skirt with. I didn't want to go like this and sew it because I feel like having a bunch of stitching around there would be meh and it wouldn't fit the character very well. So I try to use sewing as little as possible, except for like obviously on the inside connecting the pieces and stuff. But instead I use the no fray check stuff that keeps it from fraying because this fabric frays a lot. And to add just a little bit of dimension and different textures for where it goes in the chest, I cut out 2 pieces, and this I glued on because once again I didn't want, I wanted to avoid as much stitching as possible. Like the part that's stitched for the straps is under this so you don't see it, and so that is glued on, and it's just makes it look kind of like the fabric is folded over almost. I use the same ribbons that I use in the skirt as ties for the top, and this is how I did my skirt. So for my skirt, this is how it looks. It has the little ties that go through with the little openings every so often for the ribbon to pop out. I added in these little like underwear or short kind of things to make it like a skirt almost. underneath because the back part of the skirt has this giant hole in it so that I can stick the tail through. This is the tail. I attached ribbons when I sewed the tail shut so that the ribbon can get pulled through the skirt, and this way it is now underneath the skirt and my underwear won't show through the hole. And this hole is actually big enough so that when you pull the ribbon through the skirt, the tail will kind of pop out the other end, and then you pull the ribbon around the front, and I tied it up here, and then the skirt hid all the underworkings. The tail, I made a pattern, cut out, opposite sides so that it can get just sewn together like this. And then I stuffed it with newspapers and old patterns and stuff that I used for Gnar to make this, because I used newspaper to make it and they ripped over, so I don't try to save them. So that's what's in here, and I use the same dyeing method as with all of the fur. Leg warmer things, I didn't use elastic because this fit well enough and didn't slide around at all or very much. And I just cut out a giant cone shape. That's literally all I did. The wristband things that I made, they were done the same way. I made it so that it would go over at least the widest part of my hand, and then it will just sit on my wrist, and it's just a little rectangle. For the boomerang, I sell these in my Etsy and Store Envy store. I made these out of cardboard base, expanding foam, all that gesso and painting and whatnot stuff. And then I added in these little dents and stuff just because I wanted it to not be so flat looking, and it's not, like, it still has ridges and stuff, and I left it like that. And so it's all carved, or like where the teeth are, it's all one piece. But for the indents, I have the option to tell me, yo, I don't want any indents, because I don't think his character model has any indents in his thing or anything. I just kind of added it for looks. Wrapped it with the same fabric that I used around the skirt. I had almost forgot about this, so this part on mine specifically was done very last minute. So there's this whoopsie thing where it gets, like, you can see the end. If I was to actually do it, this would be under another section and another layer, and so it would be cleaner looking. And I believe that is it for Gnar. So I'm also making Annie, and I don't know if I've shown that before. I haven't done much on her, but this is her wig, and then this is her dress. And I used a pattern and kind of altered it and resized it and everything, because the pattern was, even like for being a small pattern, it was still really big on me. And this is pattern, it's just like nice stretchy knit cottony material, so it's cozy and lightweight. I altered the cuffs to fit hers. I'm doing the original artwork for her, not the sweater vest thing. I'm also cosplaying Shiro. I bought everything for her, and they're both in a haul video, and the most recent, the March one. I have to make her crown still, so I haven't done that yet. So for Asami, these are things that go on her shoes. You can't see my foot, but I'm putting on my foot. And these go around the boots that I had for her, because I didn't want to make a whole shoe cover and then her little boot cover section, because it doesn't look like the same shoe in the thing that I seen. Like, it looks like she has like some kind of leg warmer, and then her boots that are brown with like a black strip. So this is a black strip. For her scarf, because I was originally going to wear a turtleneck instead, but it was so hot out, so I didn't do that. So for her little gray thing, I had this hood that attaches to one of these flannels I have, and so I just used that and wrapped that around my neck. And then this is her jacket, and it has her pants in it right now, so if it's puffy, that's why. I used a pattern to make the base of it, and then altered it because the zip was over here, and I put the zip in the middle, and instead have this so that it has 3 buttons, and then it opens up and it unzips here. See? And it's sewn all along here. And this was a pattern myself, and then I had a pattern this as well. And for this I used black fabric and the wrong side of like this suede fabric, because this is the look I wanted and this isn't. So I used the wrong side. And then I used bias tape for all of this work. on her shoulders and everything. I made boot covers, you know, piece of newspaper, wrap it on my legs, see if it fits. This works. Boot covers, this one's upside down. And what I did is I cut out a big, basically like an awkward shaped rectangle, and then I sewed on the bias tape edges and the middle section, and then I sewed it together so that it made a little thingy, and these go over the pants. Okay, so here's probably one of the more weird parts of sewing it, is her pants are really weirdly shaped. Like they get super puffy and then they go into like skinny jeans almost. So these are how her pants look. So what I did for these is I had a sweatpants pattern, and I took that as to figure out how this crotch part should be shaped, and I kind of traced that out on this fabric, and then tossed off the patterns and had to draw, like I drew the shape, I outlined the entire top half of the shape and then one side of the bottom half to work off of, and went ahead and kind of just drew. I literally drew this shape. So I just went out on the parts that are on the side and went woo, and then took it in a lot right down here. So I only took it in after, like more and more after I tried it on to get it to fit the exact shape or size of my leg, and it just gets tied with some ribbon that I have, and it's really comfortable. She's one of my more comfortable cosplays. This little pouch part that she has is, you know, this awkward balloon shape. I made it come out at like towards the bottom, so this is just above my knee, and then it comes in like at my knee or slightly below it. Like this part's probably like slightly below it, and this part's probably near my knee-ish. For the pockets, I used just a square and sewn it in. This is the pocket shape that it had for this specific pattern that I had, so I decided, oh hey, I'll just use, you know, their pocket shape, and I put it on the sides when, like, for their pattern it's in the front right here, and I just moved it to the side. That is all of Asami's stuff. I made Korra, but I don't have her here because I made her for a friend. For her birthday, I made her a cosplay of Korra to go along with my Asami. I'll have pictures of that inserted like right now or something. And since I don't have it here, I can't really show you guys what I did or show you how it looks, but I will explain what I did. I'm going to explain it as I put this away. To make her shirt, I used that duct tape method that they have where you wrap yourself in like duct tape and whatnot to make a pattern. And that's how I made her pattern for her shirt, to make sure it fit her. And then after that, I just kind of added the extension because I didn't duct tape around her neck. I added the extension on my own on the pattern of the duct tape around the neck, and then I cut down the sides right here, and the front piece was all just that one piece, even though it's awkward shapes because it goes around, you know, the boobage and stuff. I just flattened it out as much as I could because it's stretchy material that I used, so it didn't matter because it would stretch or, you know, not stretch when need to. So there's just a seam line here and here, and then down the back, because I was worried about the turtleneck not stretching over her head or anything like that, I cut down the back, but not all the way down. I cut probably down just to like mid back or a little bit above that, and that is how I installed a zipper. And I did that because while this fabric's really stretchy, and it probably could have stretched if it was by itself, for the lining that is around the neck, she has white lining here and here. I used bias tape, and the bias tape isn't as stretchy. It's actually really stiff with a little bit of leeway. With both of these costumes, after I finished sewing everything, I ironed everything, and ironing it out made all the seam lines go away, or like, you know, any weird seam lines, like they got fixed. Like at first her arm sat really, like the arm part of it sat really weird, and it was like all open up here and it was awkward, but when I ironed it, it fixed itself and it actually clung to the body like it was supposed to. I don't know how well to explain this, but then for her pants, I used the sweat pattern sweatpants pattern that I had that I used for Asami. I just followed that exactly, sewn the pockets on too exactly because I figured, hey, pockets are going to be covered by the skirt and it's always nice to have pockets in your cosplay, especially for cons. For the skirt has that little tie. I used fabric, made a really long tie, and so it works kind of the same way with with both my pants, where it's a little shoestring tie. I used old fur that I had to kind of just line it. I folded it like, I have fur right here. I folded it like this, so the fabric was here, and then folded around the side, and then sewn the fabric, and I just cut like this giant half circle shape, or half oval shape for the brown skirt is what I'm talking about. So for the blue skirt, it's not a full skirt, it is just a triangle. I cut a giant, like, not a giant, but I cut like a triangle. That's my new word for giant triangle. But I cut a large triangle. I cut 2 of them, sewn them all, you know, this way, folded it inside out and finished sewing it up so that it would have like a nice seam to it. And then I added a piece of Velcro at each corner, and then the other piece of Velcro I hand sewn onto the, I have something here to show you. So her skirt was sewn like this, so, you know, it has a tie, it's got two sides folded over right here. So for the Velcro part, I folded it only on this one side so that none of the stitching would show in the front, and I kind of just gave it a long piece of Velcro so that she could adjust it as needed. And then for her boots, my friend had a pair of old like UGG boots that she said I could modify, and they happened to have a belt around them already, which was like super convenient. So I just took the belt, turned it around, like flipped it the opposite way because the opposite way is color that I wanted and the look of like the material that I wanted, and then I just added fur to the top. I didn't want to sew fur because I don't know if my machine could sew through the fabric that shoes are made out of, so I didn't want to risk breaking my machine, so I just safety pinned it, and that was really hard because the safety pin didn't want to go through it either. So for her armbands, I just measured it from here to here with the newspaper, you know, wrap it around, cut out pattern and just made 2 of those, sewn it together. I also sewed bias tape around both of the edges, and for the wrist part of the bias tape, I didn't make it connect. So it has like a little fold and a little piece of Velcro on it that I just go and Velcro over here. This way she can take it off and it will stretch and fit around the widest part of your hands because I made it a little bit more snug for the wrist. For this part, I used blue fabric for the lining, like a darker blue, and then that lighter blue fabric right here. But before I sewed it all together, I cut out like, you know, a rectangle shape and took white fabric paint and tape, and I have a picture of this on my Instagram. Tape, paint it with the tape there, let it fully dry, peel the tape off, and you have nice lines. For the circle, I cut out little circles of paper, taped it in place, and so I dabbed on the paint instead of, you know, painting like this, dabbed it on so that none of the paint got smeared under like that piece of paper that was taped in place. Oh, and then her hair ties, I didn't want to use bias tape for them because I didn't know how thick or thin her hair may have been, and I wanted it to be able to fit, and bias tape doesn't stretch a lot. So I used white paint and tape, the tape method again, to create the lines right here that are like here and here. And then just that blue fabric, sewed it together, and since it is stretchy fabric, you're able to just go like this, pull it through, pull it up, and then we just bobby pin it in place. And I believe that is all for Korra. Now moving on to some of my in-progress cosplays. This is going to be a really long video. So right now I'm working on Crimson Avenger Elise. Alessis. I said Elise. Oh my god, I've been playing Link. For Anime Expo, I'm working on Annie and Tibbers, but you saw Annie and I don't have any progress on Tibbers. And I am working on Lisanna. Oh, Marauder Ashe. And so I have stuff from Lisanna and Marauder Ashe to show though. So for Lisanna, Lisanna's a character from Fairy Tail. It's an anime. I'm doing her Edalis outfit. And so it is like this bodycon dress that's just like this, and this is as much as I have right now. I have white bias tape that I'm going to sew around the top and use to make the necktie for Marauder Ashe, I'm using EVA foam to make all of her armor, and if I get Warbler, I'll coat it on Warbler, but I don't think I'll have the money because Warbler's expensive. These are her two boob pieces so far, and they're like super huge, and I am not, my rib cages and stuff don't go out this far, so I have to cut it down. But this is what I did to make the shape that I wanted, because I'm going off of both her splash art and her in-game model and to use as references. And her in-game model, it's just how you make a normal boob cut, like a square, and then you fold it over to some round object and it makes it round. But for her splash art, it has ridges in it and it's pointed. Not really pointed, but it's kind of pointed. I haven't taken a heat gun to this because I also haven't fitted it to the shape I need it yet, but this is how I made the ridges. It's just by using different shaped triangles, and this, I can't even remember how I made the pattern for this, guys. Like, it was the most difficult, confusing way to make a pattern. So these are her, oh, this is one of them. This is the shoulder pieces that are going to go here. I don't have the top part that's going to connect them yet. For how I make these bends, because this is all one piece, as you can see there's no seam line here like there is here. How I made these pieces are, I took a box cutter and cut a little strip out in the middle. So I cut here, but not all the way through, like you stop about halfway. And then I cut here, and then I fold it like this so that it's folded open, and take a pair of scissors and snip it off. Put a strip of hot glue and fold it together. This is that. That's not even the right side that I showed you guys. So this is how this part looks, by the way. And I have two more of these that will go down like that and make that shape. And I think I'm going to use either a zipper or like those Velcro loops that you pull and you Velcro and then you tuck it under on the back to attach it. I gotta get another roll of EVA foam, so I only have one hip piece and I don't have any of the arm pieces or anything yet. I did most of the upper body, and then I have to pattern the arm pieces and the leg pieces. I use newspaper to pattern that. I have taken the heat gun to 2 pieces of my armor. This is the top part of her piece. I also don't have that skull crafted yet. This is the back of it. I added a seam line here because I made the neck piece a little bit too long. My pattern was a little bit funky because it curved in the back. It was like this because to make the pattern, I was back here with a marker. Oh, this is gonna be awkward. I was back here with a marker going like this, trying to draw a straight line, and it didn't happen. But I was trying to find the middle part because I only had it around half of me to make it. And I have to show you guys the pattern. This is how the pattern looked to make this piece. It attaches. I wrapped myself in newspaper because I could not stand to try to do the duct tape thing again. So I wrapped myself in newspaper. It attaches here, and I cut it here so that it can lay it flat. And that is how this looks. And this is what I mean by it got kind of curved, so the neckline was a little bit too wide, and I had to make a little cut and let it get thinner. When heated, these things keep their shape. So this is a mask. I have to make the eye pieces go out a little bit farther so that they can sit comfortably on me. This is how it sits. I have to make these little points smaller slightly. I don't know how I'm going to attach this yet. I think I'm going to put a piece of elastic around here and have it go like under my wig or under the hair of the wig or something, and then add some kind of clip up in the front here so that when it sits it gets pulled like this and it will be super secure. Yay, I just have to make these wire hair clips for my Dreamco cosplay that I haven't bought yet, but I'm buying her cosplay as well, because I don't like making school uniforms. It's just too repetitive. And yeah, that is it. Alright guys, so sorry this is super long. I don't even know how much I'll be able to cut this. Thanks for watching. I'll have a cosplay update again sooner rather than later this time. Have a lovely day. I hope you enjoyed this video and found some things helpful. If you have any questions, I answer them often on like Ask FM, or I'll reply to comments and stuff as well. Or my Facebook page, to any page. I'll try to help out as best as I can. And you can also check out my blog website thing for more tutorials and write-ups and stuff if I've done it yet. And yeah, okay, thanks for watching guys. Have a lovely day. Bye!